spot.
In overdrive, the thunder sound, the round and round, outrage.
They touch, they bang, and Kyle Busch is going to win this race. It's Bobby Hamilton, Mike Skinner, and Bobby Hamilton will win the Easy Care 200. The trucks are back in Atlanta, and that means fast laps, lead changes, and close finishes. It's time for race number 3 of the 2006 season. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. A cool evening in not-so-hot Atlanta. A brisk wind will hit the windshield when the trucks rocket down the front stretch. Mark Martin has kicked off this season in record-setting fashion, and in doing so, he's put a smile on his face that's not going away anytime soon. He will win the GM Flex Fuel 250.
Mark Martin is there. Here's Bodine looking to the inside. He will not do it, and Mark Martin wins at the California Speedway.
Scott's, Ford, and Roush Racing got pretty excited after the second win there in California.
Hey, Mikey, I'm having a blast out here, buddy.
I can tell. I love seeing you bouncing around. I know you're having fun. It's good to see Mark.
In my opinion, it's the best racing in NASCAR. It's sort of a throwback to more the way racing was when, you know, they were the good old days for me anyway.
It's about to get physical.
Puts a wheel to the inside. He'll pull alongside. Oh, trouble up in turn number 4. Slamming hard into the outside wall.
I know one thing for sure. I'm too young to retire. You know, I have way too much fire and desire. I'm going to be driving race cars for 10 years easy. Craftsman Truck Series is perfect for me, but I want to start developing a personal life. You know, I look forward to 2007 with great enthusiasm.
Mark Martin talking about wanting to get a life. Well, in only 5 starts, he's got a pretty good life in the Truck Series so far. 3 wins. He's going off of 2 already this season, looking to make it 3 in a row.
You can see he was the second driver to win in all 3 major NASCAR series at the same racetrack, and throw an IROC win in that also at California Speedway.
The guys down in the Truck Series garage think they have to beat Mark Martin tonight to race.
Mark Martin could repeat that feat here at Atlanta. He could win in all 3 series. He's won here in Busch. He's also won here in Cup. Now he's looking to add a Truck Series win. Chris Devoda.
And we're coming up here doing a little ambush on Dennis Setzer, Jack Sprague, 2 of the veterans of the series. Guys, this is kind of the time where you're kind of chit-chatting, just getting kind of loose nerves. What are you guys talking about down here before driver intros tonight?
All of a sudden you want to talk to me all day long. It's all good.
I know. What about this? You're sick of me already, aren't you?
Oh, it's all good. I'm not sick of you at all. We weren't even talking. I just walked up here, but we'll talk. We want to talk about.
What about tonight, Atlanta? We just talked to you guys qualifying these one-day shows. You guys had 2 practices qualifying. How good are your trucks? We're going to start with Dennis since you've already hogged the mic. Okay, Jack?
Our Silverado is pretty good, I think. We were good qualifying, and if we could improve on that a little bit, it'd be great.
All right, so can you beat this guy, and can you beat the rest of the field, Jack?
I don't know. I mean, he's a great race car driver. I mean, I think the Conway Trucking Toyota is really good. I think I'm pretty close to as good as I was last fall, as I told you earlier. And if it is, then I've got a shot to win this thing. If not, we'll work on it. But I think I'm in pretty good shape. 2 of the great guys in the series. Sprague starts 12th, Setzer 4th. We go down to Ray.
Well, thank you, Chris. It was an excellent qualifying run for John Wood, and you were good all day. Looked like in both practices you got a pretty solid truck tonight. You got a chance to win?
I'm missing the Truck Series, man. This is a lot of fun. Bobby and I both have really good trucks, and you know, this Truck Series stuff, it's just a factor of staying out of trouble and, you know, having good pit stops. It's gotten more competitive since I was here last, but all in all, it's still just as fun as ever.
Number switch for you this week. The first couple of races you ran to 20, now 21. Can you explain that?
I just drive whatever number they slap on it. It's still the Wood Brothers JTG truck, and all of our stuff's running well. Our trucks are good, our Busch cars are good, so just having fun, dude. That's all I can say.
All right, go have a good time tonight. John Wood with a good run.
Bobby Hamilton won this race back in 2004, starting the fantastic finishes that have taken place here in Atlanta. It's been pretty amazing there. Bobby Hamilton making his way across the grass, and he will be getting ready for driver introductions in Atlanta. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. And Bobby Hamilton will win the Easy Care 200. Ron Hornaday goes across the start-finish line just inches in front of Bobby Labonte. Sprague's going to slide out of fourth, and Kyle Busch is going to win this race. Three races, three unbelievable finishes. It all started with Bobby Hamilton beating Skinner to the line. Earlier today, Bobby shocked the NASCAR family with this announcement.
I was diagnosed with cancer, neck cancer, about right before I went to Daytona. It all started from a wisdom tooth. I thought it was a swollen lymph node. Come to find out it was not. It was a swollen lymph node, but it had another problem. So the reason for this press conference is to let you know that Bobby Jr. will start driving the Fastenal Dodge immediately after Atlanta. This is my last race.
Became a fan favorite with his first Nextel Cup win for team owner Richard Petty in 1997. Winning races legitimized Bobby Hamilton as a star in the Cup Series. In 2004 here in Atlanta, Bobby was a part of one of the best finishes ever in Truck Series history, and then went on to claim his first ever championship. Now he embarks on the fight of his life.
It's just time for me to get out and start my treatments and kick his sting. And I've got a goal to be back at Homestead. It's a big possibility. If not, I'll be back at Daytona.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Atlanta, Georgia, and Atlanta Motor Speedway. Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip. What an unbelievable story Bobby Hamilton has been up to this point, and he's going to continue to be, but what a shock this has been to the NASCAR family, Phil.
Well, it really has, but as Bobby Hamilton does everything in life, he's going to meet this challenge head on. He's going to aggressively pursue his medication and his therapy, and I would not put it past Bobby Hamilton to see him back at Homestead. If not Homestead, he'll be back at Daytona next year for sure.
Well, there's just like life. There's happy stories and there's sad stories that happen here today in Atlanta. We learned of Bobby's troubles and what he's going to be up against. But then Bill Lester, a truck driver who races a truck series every week, he goes and qualifies for the Cup race on Sunday. The first African-American driver to qualify for a Cup race since 1986. So life is crazy. It hits you from every which direction. I'm totally confident that Bobby Hamilton, like Phil said, will meet this challenge and defeat this disease. And I'm looking forward to seeing Bill Lester race on Sunday.
Well, and with Bobby Hamilton was diagnosed prior to Daytona, and then he's got the wherewithal to let everyone know, I've got this problem and I'm going to fight it, but the doctors have told him you probably shouldn't get behind the wheel of a truck. And so he's going to be at the racetrack as much as he possibly can as an owner watching his son drive that 18 Dodge.
Well, Bobby Hamilton cares about this sport. He cares about NASCAR. He loves NASCAR. This is all he's ever wanted to do. So he's not going to take a chance of endangering anybody. He's the one that says, let me step out of this truck. I'm going to put a great driver in here, Bobby Jr. And so Bobby Hamilton, he more than just himself, he cares about the sport. And he cares about the success of this Craftsman Truck Series. And Bobby Hamilton's going to be here for a long, long time as an owner and as a driver, hopefully, at Homestead or Daytona next year.
And you remember just a couple of years ago, Bobby Jr. and Bobby Sr. racing for the win at Nashville. So I know Bobby loves seeing Bobby Jr. do well, and I know he's real proud to be able to put him in that Fastenal Dodge and try to get that thing back to the front where it was when the season ended in 04.
Well, Bobby Hamilton starting another race right now, a race for life that we're going to continue to follow in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Fantastic finishes are what Atlanta Motor Speedway is all about. We're looking for another one tonight. To take a ride around Atlanta Motor Speedway. as the fans continue to file in for the fourth race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series John Deere 200, presented on speed by Valvoline. Mark Martin has made it known that he won't run all of the races, but the ones he's run so far, he's garnered the most points. 380 in 2 races. That's 2 wins for Mark Martin. Todd Bodine, 2 seconds. Ted Musgrave, 2 thirds. So those top 3 have finished that way in both of the races so far this year. Let's go down to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. Bobby Hamilton talking with Ted Musgrave here. And Bobby, you had a very emotional press conference today, but tonight you get one more race and then a little bit of a hiatus here while you just have to take a short break.
Well, I never thought I'd see the day that there was something more important but racing, but this is. So, I don't know. It's you have mixed emotions. It's just great. You got people like Corky's Barbecue and Fastenal and Dodge. All your marketing partners hang around, and when you go through stuff like this and let you make changes or whatever, but I don't mind telling you, me and you was walking out through there and I was looking down there to my truck and I'm like, this is getting to be an awful long walk. I don't like the way it feels. It's the first time it's really sinking in, so I just need the motor to start, because usually when the ignition switch comes on, my brain goes off.
All right, well listen, there'll be a lot of people riding with you tonight. Have a good time.
Thank you for everything, Ray.
All right. Krista?
All of our thoughts, well wishes, of course, with Bobby Hamilton, but there is a big race, of course, tonight, and we are with our pole sitter. Todd Bodine, you are a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pole sitter. We've never said that before.
No, it's I guess it's first for everything, huh? I've got a pole in the other 2 divisions, but now we got one in the Truck Series. Our Tundra was real quick qualifying. You know, we struggled in practice, wasn't driving real well, and Mike Jr. and Sr. made some changes and got it driving good and put stickers on, and, you know, good old Tundras, they're going to go fast for a couple laps, but we don't know what we got for the rest of the race. It's going to be interesting, but hopefully we got Lumber Liquidators on for a new sponsorship. Got him a pole the first time out. Hopefully we can finish the job and get in victory lane. And I got to say hi to Ashlyn. Love you, Pumpkin.
Well, he said he's got a better truck, or he thinks they can finish better than they did in the fall. They were second then.
Well, the only way you can go up from second is obviously winning the race, and he's going to have to beat a very impressive so far this season, Mark Martin. But all of the trucks are in line, the drivers have been introduced, and we are looking forward to an outrageous finish. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is presented by Valvoline. Tested on the track, trusted on the road. Brought to you in part by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. And by GM, a leader in flex fuel vehicles. Go to livegreengoyellow.com. Take a look at the track description for this extremely fast 1.5 mile track.
Yeah, I just ran around here at about 190 miles an hour qualifying my Cup car a minute ago. It's a mile and a half long. The corners are banked 24 degrees, Phil. That's a whole lot of banking. It'll make up for some of your handling problems in a truck. You know, they're aerodynamically stuck to the road. The high banks help them to continue to be stuck.
Let's take a look at our race analysis. You see 36 trucks starting. Length 130 laps, a little over 200 miles, purse over $500,000, and our pit window is somewhere between lap 55 and 62, but a lot of the drivers in the garage area and crew chiefs are talking about maybe the tires not lasting that long. They were seeing some tires worn out in about 40 laps, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
They'll want tires every chance they get. They're going to eventually run out of them, though, so tire preservation could be an important factor in tonight's outcome.
It is a historic day. Not only is it St. Patrick's Day, but a historic day in NASCAR. And the man setting history or making history is standing by with Ray Dunlap.
And Rick, that would be Bill Lester. And because it's St. Patrick's Day, I guess you wore your green for that, right?
Right, the green.
What a great day. You are qualified for your first ever Nextel Cup Series race. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. I'm so excited. I mean, this is definitely a culmination of a lot of hard work and effort, and you know, people believing in me, especially Waste Management, Bill Davis Racing, Championship Group, and I'm just hoping it's the beginning of things to come.
Let's talk about the big picture tonight. 1.5 mile tracks are good for you.
Yes, they are. I'm quite at home at a place like Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm looking for a good race tonight, and we're going to be there at the end.
Okay, hometown boy right here, Bill Lester, about ready to climb in his number 22 Waste Management truck, and he will race on Sunday.
We've caught up with Matt Crafton, waiting to get into his number 88 Thor Sport truck. And Matt, I know you love this track. All the drivers say that. Can you kind of put into words what this place means? Why is it so special?
I love this place. I mean, you can run at the bottom, you can run at the top. If your truck's not working real good at the bottom, you can move to the middle. I mean, there's 20 grooves around this place, and that brings me back to some of my old dirt racing I used to do. I mean, when you go find the cushion, and that's the place. I mean, over here 1 and 2, you definitely go find the cushion. I mean, Michael Waltrip does it best over there in 1 and 2, but our Menard Steel Bass Chevy, we didn't really work on any qualifying runs. We didn't expect it to qualify really good, but I think we got a pretty good race truck.
Well, you mentioned Michael Waltrip. We'll be hearing a lot from him tonight. And yeah, fans, if this is your first truck race or you're just kind of joining the series, this is the one to watch. You are in for quite a show. It's really the best race of the year.
See, the trucks are all in line. The drivers haven't climbed in there as of yet. The Cup race, or the Cup qualifying, went a little bit longer, and so that's pushed us back just a few minutes. The drivers will be climbing in shortly to get this one underway.
Final time onto the back straightaway. They are side by side into turn 3.
This is going to be close. Here they come off turn number 4. Coming out of turn number 4, side by side. Here they come there. Quad oval. It's Bobby Hamilton, Mike Skinner, and Bobby Hamilton will win the Easy Care 200.
Wow, what a finish.
They're side by side coming out of turn number 4. On the high side, Bobby Labonte. They hit again. It's Bobby Labonte. Ron Hornaday goes across the start finish line just inches in front of Bobby Labonte.
How could this race have been better than last year? And I think it was.
Here comes Jack Sprague up high, and here comes Johnny Benson. Benson's going to slide out of 4. Sprague's going to slide out of 4, and Kyle Busch is going to win this race.
What amazing finishes we've had here at Atlanta.
Extreme speeds around Atlanta Motor Speedway, and the anticipation for the start of this race growing as the seconds tick off the clock. Finishes have been the big story here at Atlanta prior to today. Obviously, the big story today is Bobby Hamilton making the announcement that he will step away from the number 18 Fastenal Dodge for a little while he goes through treatment, trying to get rid of the cancer that has invaded his body up to this point. So Bobby Hamilton, the big story. But again, we've got a race, guys, and we're about to get started with the race number 4 for Atlanta. And if it's anywhere near races 1, 2, and 3, these fans are going to be coming in droves for years and years.
Well, that's what Bobby Hamilton would want us to talk about, is how good this racetrack is. We saw the video, 3 finishes, and you never knew who was going to win from turn 4 to start finish line. You're talking about a couple hundred yards. You race for 200 miles. You've got 200 yards to go to finish it, and you don't know who's going to win. But this racetrack, and why that is, as Matt Crafton said just a few moments ago, you can run on the bottom, you can run in the middle, you can run on the top, as my man Michael Waltrip does all the time. What a great racetrack to provide such terrific finishes, Michael.
Well, what we have to remember, Phil, these guys are traveling at over 180 miles an hour. So when you're going that fast, not only can you have crazy action, you can have bad crashes. We've seen some big ones here. So the guys are all over each other, racing their tails off, seemingly unaware that they're traveling at 180 miles an hour because they take chances. They do things at Atlanta just because I think the reputation of Atlanta, the exciting finishes, they're on it. That's what they want to see, a great finish, a great race. Bobby Hamilton said something a minute ago that just set my heart at ease. I was worried about his focus and what all must be going through his brain, but he said, when I cut the ignition switch on, I cut my brain off and I get to go racing. What therapy that is. He gets to spend the next couple of hours in his truck not worrying about what has invaded his body, but trying to win a race and focusing on something besides this terrible tragedy that he's faced with.
Yeah, well, our thoughts and prayers obviously are going to be with Bobby during his recovery. But again, we've got a race to take a look at, and this has been a racetrack where rookies have really done well at, meaning David Rudiman and a couple other rookies have done great at this track. Well, Eric Darnell has done well in the first 2 races, and now he's with Chris Devoto.
Eric Darnell, a rookie who would love to have the kind of career Bobby Hamilton has had. And it has already been a great year for Eric Darnell. You've been the top finishing rookie in at least our first 2 races. You're starting 3rd today. You've just got to be kind of chomping at the bit to get out on a racetrack like this.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I've never been to Atlanta before, and to come out here and run as well as we've run so far, it's been pretty amazing. Our Woolworths Ford F-150 was great right off the truck. We were good in practice, and we're able to translate that over to qualifying. We're hoping to do the same thing for the race.
All right, Teray.
Hey, Chris, I'm with Mike Skinner, and when you look at Atlanta records, this guy's been a leader in all 3 races here. Good runs, but no win. What's it going to take to pull it off tonight?
Got to beat that truck right there, I think, and that one with a 6 on it back there. But
he's referring to Todd Bodine, by the way.
You know, our Tundra was pretty good today. It was pretty good in qualifying. I felt like we missed it. We hurt ourselves off the 4 a little bit there, but you know, we'll see what happens, Ray. We're just going to try our best.
All right, good luck to you. Now it's back to Rick.
Well, thank you, Ray. Again, the drivers waiting to get the command to get into their trucks. We'll get away quickly and be right back. About to get the John Deere 200 presented on Speed by Valvoline underway, but first we go trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and remove your hats as the Lovejoy High School Air Force Junior ROTC present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Atlanta Motor Speedway Chaplain Bill Brannon delivers tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for this great race weekend and all the things that go to make it so exciting and entertaining. Thank you and those who serve our country for keeping us free. Give us a safe race tonight. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brittany Green from Griffin, Georgia, as she performs the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
A raucous crowd on hand for the Atlanta Motor Speedway race. Race number 3 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Coming up next. Look at our Fast and All flashback. Takes us back to 2004 in the first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The 4 of Bobby Hamilton and 42 of Mike Skinner bumped and banged old school style as they came to the line. Bobby Hamilton held on to win the race in what is still today one of the best finishes in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series history. Atlanta 2004, the finish. Our Fast and All flashback. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all you race fans. Bobby Hamilton shocking the NASCAR family today with his announcement that he will step away from this 18 Dodge for, well, a few races as he battles his fight with cancer.
Yeah, it's going to be nice, as Michael said, when he flips that switch and he's going to be able to put all that behind him. He's going to have a blast for an hour and a half or 2 hours or something like that. And that's what it's all about. That's what he's lived his entire life for, is to drive these race cars, these race trucks, and he cannot wait to get that thing fired up.
His beginnings were so humble, Phil. He scratched and clawed from nothing to become a NASCAR Nextel Cup winner. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion, a Busch Series winner. He's just enjoyed so much success driving race cars, and it's just got to be so fulfilling for him to see his son following his footsteps as well, and his son winning many Busch races and competing at the top of Cup and Truck as well.
Yeah, and this is such a family sport. I mean, you look at his sponsors, all of his sponsors, Fastenal, Corky's, Dodge. Everyone is saying, you know what, we're behind you all the way, Bobby. We're going to do whatever it takes. Bobby Jr. getting in that truck, great. We're behind him the whole way.
Yeah, Bobby has established such a terrific race team. He's won a number of races. You mentioned he won a championship here back in 2004. Won 2 races last year in his follow-up to his championship season. So Bobby's always been competitive in anything he's ever driven, and he's trying to build this team where he's going to have 3 or 4 trucks that are competitive week in, week out.
Ray Dunlap.
Hey, Rick, today Mark Martin will roll off 10th, and we've already documented what an incredible year it's been for him so far. 2 wins in his 2 races of 2006. But today I heard something very interesting on the radio from Mark Martin. He pulled up right behind Mike Bliss going through the corners, and he said, my truck is very, very tight. I got to figure out how to make these kind of moves. He said, I am still learning how to drive a Craftsman truck. And Michael and Phil, I think that's very interesting for a guy with the kind of experience that Mark Martin has. It's something he's still got to learn here at the racetrack.
Well, I think we ought to put Bobby Hamilton at ease, and at ease would be flipping that switch. Let's go down for tonight's
Murray
command.
Smith, Director of Tactical Marketing Agriculture Division, John Deere, for those most famous words in motorsports.
On behalf of John Deere and all the John Deere dealers, drivers, start your engines.
Engines are fired up. Todd Bodine getting ready to get this one underway. He'd love to get in front of Mark Martin at some point in time this season. He's been second twice so far. We'll see if he can get into winner's circle tonight. Bonus coverage tomorrow on Speed. Have breakfast with us on Speed. 9 a.m. Nextel Cup practice taking place. Then Fox, FX, and Speed's coverage of NASCAR continues tomorrow with Busch Series qualifying here on Speed, followed by Nextel Cup practice and Busch Series racing. Then Incred 300 on FX. Sunday begins with NASCAR Race Day on Speed, leading up to Nextel Cup Series racing with a Golden Corral 500 presented by DLP HD TV on Fox. And NASCAR Victory Lane wraps up the entire weekend on Speed. The coverage of NASCAR continues all weekend long across the Fox networks. The trucks are rolling on the track. Let's take a look at tonight's starting grid. Todd Bodine claiming his first ever pole in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Outside of him, a guy who qualifies extremely well, also in a Toyota, Mike Skinner.
We've seen Skinner qualify well, then race bad at times. I wonder, since Todd finally got a pole, is he going to run crap bad tonight?
Well, you hope not. Rookie Eric Darnell, great qualifying effort, 3rd inside row number 2 alongside Dennis Setzer. Good driver on these mile-and-a-half racetracks.
Row 3, Bobby East making his first start in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He'll be on the inside of row 3. John Wood on his outside, first start this season.
Yeah, John Wood's probably going to be his last ride in that number 21 truck. Regular driver will take over next week, Marcus Ambrose.
There's DW's 2 Toyotas. Back on row 4, there's the Cat. Everybody says you're going to have to beat to win the race.
Yeah, Jack Sprague has a truck that he thinks maybe can run with Mark Martin. He's going to be starting right behind Mark. He can keep him in his sights.
I'm getting all giddy, Phil. I just can't wait to see if these Cats can handle Mark tonight. He's 2 for 2.
And he's starting quite a bit further back than he has so far the first 2 races. So he actually has to work to get up towards the front.
He does. There's Bill Lester. He qualified on the outside of row number 9 for this race. But the big story for Bill this weekend, obviously winning this race is going to be important tonight. But he's going to race on Sunday in the Cup race.
First time in 20 years African-American has run in the Nextel Cup Series.
There's our winner from last year, Ron Hornaday, won this race in a photo finish over Bobby Labonte. Back last March, he starts inside row number 13.
Boston Reed in a backup truck. Had some problems in practice. It's been a rough season for Boston so far. It'd be nice to see him get things back on track.
Look at Ted Musgrave. He's going to start outside row number 18 in last. He qualified 18th, Michael, but by virtue of the fact that they have 30 guaranteed positions, he had to take a past champions provisional, starts last.
That's why. That's all you need to know when you want to try to figure out how difficult, how competitive it is to run one of these races. The top 27 trucks were within a half a second of one another.
Failed to qualify, and you'll see on here Chad Chaffin's name is on there twice. Chad Chaffin tried to qualify in the 40 truck, was not able to get qualified, but because the 02 had problems in practice, she was actually injured. Kelly Sutton was hurt, and so she stepped out of the 02. Chad Chaffin will now drive that truck to keep the driver points and the owner points going. We take a look at some of the drivers we're going to be riding along with. One of those is going to be Bobby Hamilton. This will be a great swan song for Bobby Hamilton, at least this season. We're not writing him off as far as getting back, hopefully by Homestead.
There's 98, Aaron Crocker, the Betty Crocker Cheerios Dodge. He had a good qualifying effort in 30th. Fast racetrack. Aaron's continuing to get experience.
There's my buddy Mark. We've been able to chat with him through his couple of victories, and we've got another onboard camera on that Scott's Ford, so it'd be fun to see Mark's progress tonight.
Shell Rotella T on board with Dennis Setzer as he starts in the 4th position for tonight's race.
And our pole sitter, first time ever in a Craftsman Truck Series race, Todd Bodine. He's had a pole in the other 2 major NASCAR divisions. Now he's got a pole in all 3. Got a new sponsor on board, Lumber Liquidators, and he's ready to go.
He's going to make it very tough for Mark Martin to get by him. Ray Dunlap.
Hey, Rick, I know we've talked about Bobby Hamilton a lot tonight, but I'd like to add one little comment to it. You know, in 2003 in our final race at Homestead, Bobby Hamilton went around Rick Crawford on the very last lap to get the win. And we also documented he did the same thing here at Atlanta. Beat Mike Skinner in 04. And last year at Daytona, he did the exact same thing to Jimmy Spencer. A last lap pass for the victory. That's what makes this series so exciting, and that's because Bobby Hamilton's been a big part of it. Krista?
A last lap pass, that's something we could see tonight. Something else we'll see tonight, a lot of big coats and sweatshirts like this one I'm wearing tonight. The temperature has dropped about 20 degrees from the time these guys practiced and qualified this afternoon. What does that mean for the track? Normally, as the temperature drops, the track gets tight. Here at Atlanta, well, sort of. The track will pick up grip on the front end. That means the trucks will get tight, a lot of downforce, but they'll actually get loose on the back end. So you'll hear drivers talk a lot about loose conditions, at least until they can tighten up these trucks on those first couple stops.
Well, it's normally a wild night at Atlanta, and when you've got a full moon, you can only expect that to be even bigger as far as what could possibly happen in this race tonight.
They don't need a full moon here in Atlanta. They're going to run from the top of the racetrack, the bottom of the racetrack. Michael, as you mentioned, they're running 180, 190 miles an hour. When there's trouble, it's usually big.
It is big. They're coming off turn 4, Rick. These guys have got all the belts pulled down. They're ready to roll. They know that the next 200 miles is going to be the most intense action of the whole year.
It's 200 miles, 130 laps, and normally coming out of turn number 4 on lap 130, they're side by side for the win. As they come to the start-finish line, Todd Bodine brings them to the green flag for the first time in his Truck Series career.
Already peeking to the outside. Looked to make it 3 wide for just a moment.
Decided maybe that wouldn't be the best move this early in the race. That's Joe Miller. I think he's about 19 or 20 years old. Mark said, I don't know for sure where he's going, and I'm not sure he knows for sure where he's going, so I'm going to settle down here for a lap or 2.
To hear Mark talk about it, he's not sure where he's going. He said he's still learning these trucks. And that's a scary thought.
Eric Darnell, his teammate on the inside of the racetrack.
We saw the 12
of Joey Miller.
I'm sorry, Rick. We saw the 12 of Joey Miller bottom out. His truck jumped up a lane when he did. He stayed in the throttle, and he drives by the 99 of Eric Darnell.
Wow. That's pretty good power there, Phil, I think. He kept her wound up by running a little bit high, but then he just did the job. Look at him through the corner there, driving around the outside of John Wood.
I talked to Joey's crew chief, Johnny Allen, this morning or this afternoon. He said, we've got a great race truck. We ran some of our fastest laps on old tires. Most of the guys ran their fastest laps on new tires. We ran them on old tires. He said, we have a great truck. You know, this is where Joey Miller got his best career finish in the Craftsman Truck Series, 10th last fall.
Bobby Hamilton, again, making his last start of 2006 while he undergoes treatment. Just had some problems at the beginning of this race. Let's take a look.
Bobby Hamilton's famous for running that high line. Let's see here. That's one of his trucks right in front of him. Oh, the 04 Scott Legacy. Oh, Bobby made a little contact with the outside wall.
Yeah, that was a little bit more than you would like. It looked as if maybe though it was on the back of the truck, Phil. You don't want to hit your nose onto the wall. Man, he's raced. His teammate's not cutting him any slack there, is he? And Bobby's going to hit him and let him know about it.
Well, that yellow stripe.
These trucks and the front of these trucks are very sensitive aerodynamically, Rick. So if you hit the wall with the front of your truck, you've got to do some work to it. If you just scrape the back, you can get by with that.
You can see a flat side. It looks mostly like the damage was done to the back of that truck.
04 Scott Legacy, again a teammate to Bobby Hamilton, was able to work his way by the 1 truck of Robert Richardson. That's Sean Murphy, the 07 truck on the outside. And there's the Germain Toyota, Team SC Toyota of Ted Musgrave, the 9 on the inside.
Okay, let me tell you something, Phil. These cats are battling for 30th spot. I mean, that's how intense the action is from the front to the back. They're just scrambling trying to make up spots here.
Sean Murphy trying to get by Ted Musgrave as they go through the tri-oval.
Bobby Hamilton. Sean Murphy thought he was on the outside, and he looked in his mirror, and Bobby Hamilton was on the outside of him.
Yeah, Bobby Hamilton was one of the only trucks that ran the outside groove in practice. Most of these other trucks right on the bottom of the racetrack, right on the white line. Bobby Hamilton was running that groove right there in practice because he wanted to know what he needed for his truck to run up there.
Did you see how pretty those chrome wheels are?
They are pretty.
I don't think they're chrome.
Well, they're just magnificent.
Backing up, Dennis Setzer. And Shell Rotella T, number 85 Chevrolet.
That's the 20 of Bobby East, the State Fair Corn Dog Ford. Getting by Dennis Setzer. Bobby had a great qualifying effort here. His first race. There's his teammate, John Wood, the Duckhead Sportswear Ford, number 21.
Setzer qualified for this race 4th, and he's dropped all the way back to 9th.
Remember, these trucks are impounded after qualifying. There are just minor adjustments that these teams can make to try to get these trucks ready to race. All the practice and qualifying was done during the daytime. And here we are racing. It's probably 15, 20 degrees colder than it was anytime these trucks were on the racetrack.
Mark Martin taking 3rd away from Joey Miller as he moves his way toward the front. Trying to reel in Todd Bodine and Mike Skinner out in front of him. But now it's Toyota, Ford.
And that's Mark Martin's goal, is to go up there and rain on those Toyotas parade.
I'll guarantee you, Todd Bodine right now is leading this race. Mike Skinner's in second in the 5 Toyota. They're both thinking, where is that 6 truck of Mark Martin? Where is that Scott's Ford of Mark Martin? I know he's coming.
They're thinking, where is he and when is he going to get here? And not will he get here, when will he get here?
Now, this is not Mark Martin in the lead. This is Mark Martin in 3rd. There's your leader, Todd Bodine, in the number 30. He's in front of the number 5, who you see out his back window. That's Mike Skinner, who's quite a ways back, and then Mark Martin is behind them.
Now look at these cats trying to figure all this out. Steve Park in the number 59 Ford this week, Phil.
Kinzer time in a Ford, usually runs a Dodge. There's Rick Crawford leading Steve Park. That's a Circle Bar Ford, number 14. There's Steve in the 59 Jim Harris Dodge.
There's Craig Kinzer on the outside of Bill Lester. Lester working the bottom in his number 22 Toyota.
See, Bobby Hamilton's right in the middle of that pack, right behind the 75 of Eric Almirola.
Side by side, Rick Crawford on the outside.
There's Bobby Jr., their Corky's Dodge on the inside, the 08. He's going to pull up beside his father in the 18 Fastenal Dodge. Bobby Jr. is going to be in that truck after this race.
Bobby pushed a little bit. Bobby Sr. did off that turn. You heard him burp the gas. Bobby Jr. was able to make a strong run on the inside, but there's just so much momentum. That's Bobby Hamilton's other truck in between the two behind him, Scott Legacy in that 04, and he's got a Hemi in that thing.
And he's got a Toyota Ted Musgrave right behind Bobby Sr. Some great racing back here in mid-pack.
Well, up in front, Todd Bodine looking to improve on his 2nd place finishes so far in the first 2 races, but look who's reeling in 2nd, Mark Martin. 12th lap of the race, and Mark Martin's already battling for 2nd.
That last lap, Mark Martin had the fastest lap of the field by 0.3 of a second. We talked about 0.3 of a second would have meant, what, 20, 25 positions in qualifying?
Yeah.
He just ran that much faster than everyone in the field.
And he's passing trucks.
Oh, yeah. Now, this truck tonight, the way he's got it working, he could make shambles of this field.
We've had such good finishes all 3 times we've been here. If Mark keeps this up, he's going to ruin our record.
220 on the water.
220 on the water, he reports. Let everybody know what's happening underneath the hood, so if they need to adjust the temperature, they can pull some tape off on their first stop. Krista, what's happening in the pit?
Dennis Setzer, the number 85, has fallen back. He's complaining of being tight in the center. Now, it may not be too big of a deal. I talked to Dennis after qualifying. He said these trucks are so tight on stickers, they need the tires to come in on a few laps. We'll have to check back with him and see if his truck loosens up.
Out in front, Todd Bodine has a mirrorful of Mark Martin. Bodine was able to get in front of Mark Martin for about a lap when we were in California. Well, Mark Martin doesn't like to follow anyone around a racetrack, it looks like, especially in a truck.
You see Todd pull over. He's not even going to contest this. He knows Mark chased him down from a couple seconds behind. He said, Mark, you're faster than me. Go ahead.
Todd Bodine said, Mark, let me see some of that. Let me see what you got going on here.
I think we just heard Mike Beam say, save your stuff, Mark, as Mark Martin has now gotten in front of the pack in Atlanta. Sunday on Speed, you don't want to miss the all-new NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. This minute NASCAR pre-race show returns live and unfiltered. NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot from Atlanta. Sunday, 11 Eastern only on Speed. Mark Martin dominating this one as he has begun to lap trucks. We are at lap 20.
John Wood, the 21 truck, is running 4th right now, and he's consistently running some very, very fast laps. He's about 5 seconds behind our leader right now, Mark Martin, but he has one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack in addition to Mark Martin.
Well, when the guys running back in the 25th, 26th spot get word here on lap 21 that the leader's on their bumper, they're going to say, what? How could he be here already? That's how fast he is.
There's John Wood right there. Ray, what's going on with John?
Well, he just came on the radio, Phil, a little bit ago, and he said, boy, this thing is a handful. And his crew chief, John Monson, said, are you loose or are you tight? And he said, yes.
All the above.
And you know, the way you could fix that, Phil, you could slow down a little bit, but no one wants to do that.
He was faster than Mark that last time by about 1/10 of a second. There's a good battle. Rick Crawford, Circle Bar Ford on the leading that pack. 14 into Power Stroke Diesel Ford. Terry Cook the 10. That's a battle for the 18th position.
They're running up on Steve Park. Park's running good in that number 59 Dodge.
Ford, remember?
Oh, Ford, I'm sorry. I wanted that guy to dodge the wall. I thought Crawford was going to hit the wall. It scared me.
The first time Jim Harris's truck has ever been a Ford. They decided after California to build a Ford, and here they are just a few weeks later with a Ford. 3 Fords right there battling. The 59 of Steve Park, the 14 of Rick Crawford, and the 10 of Terry Cook.
Steve Park carrying the Luck of the Irish paint job on that number 59 Ford.
See a couple different lines. Steve Park a little bit higher on the racetrack. Rick Crawford right on the bottom. That's the nice thing. We talk about it all the time about this racetrack. You can run on the bottom, you can run in the middle, and you can run on the top.
That's a good battle right there. Those guys are racing for the 17th spot. Park up high, Crawford down low, Cook really up high.
Full day's action for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They started this morning at 8:45 with practice, qualified at 5 o'clock. Then the trucks were impounded, and so weren't able to work on these trucks until the start of this race, or actually the first pit stop will be the first time that they'll be able to do any adjustments to these trucks. Mark Martin working his way through the field, trying to get up into the traffic. So far, he's put 3 trucks a lap down.
Well, and you know Mark is just pacing himself here, Rick. Mike Beam called him on the radio and said, take care of your stuff. Mark's catching the back of the field. He's being really careful. He ran at 32.33 seconds that last lap by Phil. The lap before that, 31.33. So he is just making sure he doesn't get himself in a bind as he races his Scott's Ford up through the back of the field.
He's such a smart race car driver. We've seen that for years in the Nextel Cup Series. He's the all-time Busch Series winner. He's won the most races in the history of that series. Been so close to winning so many of the Nextel Cup championships. Mark Martin knows how to drive a race car. He knows how to save his equipment. He knows what he needs. that's why he's won 2 races so far this year.
Won the most IROC races. I mean, you could just go down the list. We see Mark Martin just behind Aaron Crocker, about to put Aaron Crocker a lap down.
Man, Aaron would love to have just an uneventful night tonight. Run all 200 miles, or at least 198.5 of them if Martin gets by her here. But just settle in, get a good groove. She's running respectably here, Phil. We've seen Mark closing on her for a couple laps, but he's just now being able to seal the deal and get up beside her.
And right beside her, Mark Martin goes. We look from on board that Betty Crocker's number 98 Dodge, and Mark Martin goes by.
See Aaron back off a little bit, entering the corner to allow Mark to get down in the corner. She was cognizant of the fact that he was on the inside of her.
Barnwell doing his job then.
That's right, Keith Barnwell, her spotter. Granite Falls, North Carolina.
Thank you very much.
Krista, how's Mark Martin doing?
Mark Martin is doing very well. In fact, he came on the radio and said, Mike, as in Mike Beam, his crew chief, we're going to be all right. Remember, Mark said after his qualifying lap, it was the best lap he's driven in a truck. He said it was just so easy. He's making this race look very easy.
See, biggest movers, Brendan Gaughan, that number 77, moved 19 positions to 13.
Wow, what a drive up through the field for Brendan.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan has really been optimistic going into this season. He said these Dodges are not going to qualify that well. It appears as though they have a lot more drag than these other trucks. But look at it. Lap 5, he was 21st. And in 24 more laps, he's all the way up to the 13th position. What a terrific run for Brendan Gaughan. That's how we're used to seeing Brendan, how he ran back in 2003 when he came within just an eyelash of winning that championship had it not been for a late wreck at Homestead.
And we're seeing Setzer. He lost some spots early in the going, but he's rebounded. He's got that thing on a rail now, keeping up with Brendan. These two trucks are marching toward the front.
Dennis Setzer started 4th, dropped back. The guy they're not keeping up with, though, is Mark Martin as he continues to put trucks a lap down.
Got truck on the wall. Scott
Lagasse in that 04 looked as though he cut a tire, had sparks coming out as he couldn't keep it off the wall.
This is an opportune time, 30 laps into the race, Rick. We heard a little bit of concern about tire wear. These trucks just charge these corners. They run wide open through the corners. If there's going to be a tire problem on a truck, we're going to see it on this first pit stop. The folks down on pit road are going to be really happy to see this caution fly.
And the more rubber put down on the racetrack, the better the wear should be. So now we've got 30 laps with all these trucks going around the racetrack. These teams will look at these tires. They're going to say, yeah, they're worn right now, but that wear should get better as the race wears on. We should be able to get more laps out of them as the race moves on.
Work being done on the 04 Dodge of Scott Lagasse. Now, Mikey, you remember that each race we have the Aaron's Lucky Dog.
We do.
As far as if someone's a lap down, when a caution comes out, they get their lap back.
Right, and then
highest scored.
And this is Boston Reed, and we said he needed a good night. He needed a rebound. This is the first step toward that. We need to call Boston up and tell him it's not just a feeling, it's more than a feeling. He will be getting the free dog.
And that's the first good thing that's happened to Boston this year. We saw him get wrecked at Daytona, not of his making. We saw him get wrecked at California, not of his making. And then he lost a truck in practice today. Here he is in a backup truck, and he gets the lucky dog.
And it looks as though the trucks are coming down pit road. Chris Devoto.
Mark Martin, the first truck in, the first pit stall. As you enter pit road, his crew going around making tire change. Mark Martin is looking for more forward bite. His truck is very good, as we just reported, but he's looking for a little more grip on the front end. The crew comes around on the left side. It's going to be a very good stop for Mark Martin. More trucks in. Number 77, Brendan Gaughan, having a good night. Also, Mark Martin's teammate David Reagan in down on this end. Ray.
Chris, an interesting situation. Last week at California, everybody talking about being very, very loose. This week, it's a little bit tight. So they made a track bar adjustment for Mike Skinner's Toyota, and we see the number 30 of Todd Bodine will come in. They'll do air pressure on the right rear. Skinner has a little bit of a problem getting out of his pits. Todd Bodine down there comes into the racetrack second. Looks like he will get off pit road first.
Wow. Great pit stop by Todd Bodine. Mike Hillman Jr., his crew, Lumber Liquidators, a new sponsor on board that truck. Good pit stop.
Todd Bodine winning the race off pit road just in front of the 6 of Mark Martin. Ray had talked about Skinner having problems coming off pit road. We take a look again.
Everything seems normal so far, Phil.
See the jackman going to grab the jack.
Little chassis adjustment there in the right rear. The tire carrier scrambles over, gets the left rear tire after making that chassis adjustment.
Had a bit of a close call. Oh, and a lot big close call there. You see him lock up the right front tire. He slid that right front tire trying to avoid the 15 of Kyle Krisaloff.
He'll be wondering if that thing's going to start shaking on him here when they go back to green racing. If he slid that far enough, it could have worn the rubber off of that thing, caused him a problem later on.
Defensive driving for Mike Skinner coming off pit road. Scott Legacy Jr., the reason why we're under caution number 1 in Atlanta. And welcome back to the John Deere 200, presented on speed by Valvoline. John Wood making a pit stop that was on top of the one he made earlier, so he had some problems. We take a look at the pit summary. Todd Bodine coming in third, going out in the top spot.
Mark Martin lost that one spot. He came in as our leader, came out second. Mike Skinner came in second, came out third. Ruderman gained a spot up to fourth, and Johnny Benson gained a spot up to fifth.
And John Wood lost several spots because
had to come back in the pits.
They were working on his
Romeo window, they call it, which is right behind the driver, attaches to the roll bar, connects to the back window.
Eddie Kaiser takes the pace truck back down pit road, and now it's Todd Bodine leading the field again to the green flag for this first restart.
Now, Michael, what's going to be interesting is these crew chiefs have had a chance to adjust on these trucks. We talk about this race being an impound race. Sometimes they have to live with what they have till the first pit stop. Well, now they've made that first pit stop. They've been able to adjust these trucks. Let's see how many guys have adjusted their trucks and made them better, and how many guys may have gone the wrong way.
So it'll also be interesting to get Ray and Krista to look around down there and see what we saw for tire wear. Definitely saw a tire failure on Legacy. See if that's widespread or if it just was an isolated incident.
You know, Ray was talking about that most of the teams were talking about their trucks being tight. That means when they go in the corner, the front of the truck doesn't want to turn. It wants to shoot out to the wall. They have to adjust on that truck to try to even that balance out where the front end doesn't want to go towards the wall.
How about that Woolridge number 99 Ford of Eric Darnell? He's been moving on the inside line very well.
Looks like the inside lane's working better for that group of trucks right there. Bobby Hamilton splits the middle on a couple of guys back there, but so far the fast trucks have been able to remain at the bottom of the track, Phil.
And I think especially with fresh tires like all these trucks have right now, I think the bottom of the racetrack is going to be the place to be. As the tires wear, we're going to see if the group will move up. We saw Bobby Hamilton running the top of the racetrack, but he didn't make a great deal of headway. He may have moved up to about the 20th position, but he did not run near as fast as the people like Mark Martin, Todd Bodine, John Wood did.
This is the battle for the lead. Todd Bodine just in front of Mark Martin. Mark Martin was really running away from this field earlier, and now he makes the pass on Todd Bodine. Bodine looks as though, again, he gives the right away to Mark Martin.
Well, he's
Easy on your stuff.
I hear that again from Mike Beam.
He's learning about Todd's learning what Mark's got that he doesn't have right now. Todd slid up, watch Mark, see if maybe he's doing something with his line, doing something different with when he lets off the gas. So Todd's going to school right now, trying to learn and making his truck or his driving style more suitable to getting more speed like Mark has.
What's going on with Bill Lester, Ray?
Well, he had a bad vibration, Rick, in the right front of his Waste Management Toyota. He said it felt like it was about to shake the wheel right out of his hand. So he thought that he was maybe had a loose wheel on the right front. They weren't quite sure, but they said, let's put 4 tires on it. Lester comes down to pit road here on lap number 39.
It's a tough break for Bill Lester, but if he can get back to the racetrack, he'll be in position possibly to get the lucky dog, and then he'll get right back in contention in this race.
That, of course, is brought to you by Aaron's.
The Aaron's lucky dog.
There you go.
Todd Bodine able to stay right with Mark Martin right now.
Toyota's running together here. Mike Skinner. Now Johnny Benson trying to move up. Whoa. He gets a little bit loose.
Johnny
almost catches the back of David Ruderman.
Wow. Johnny lost the front end of that truck, and then had to chase it up the hill. Then he got a little bit loose. That allowed the 20 of Bobby East, the State Fair Corn Dog Ford, to jump to the inside of him. Allowed David Ruderman, the 17 truck, to score it away.
I think Johnny felt like David was going to give him the corner. You know that, Phil. Watch him. He charges down in there, likes about a foot, clearing David, and then all of a sudden his truck's just loose and sliding up the hill.
But that experience on Johnny Benson, if he would have stayed in the throttle or got back in the throttle right then, he would have got big time loose, probably taken himself and David Rudiman and no telling who else out. But Johnny Benson's got a lot of experience, got X-Side batteries on board that Toyota this week. Look for him to have a great run here.
Just behind him, Joey Miller in that number 12 Curb Records Toyota.
Well, this is a great battle here. Johnny's trying to hold off Joey Miller, and Rudiman has run up on the back of Skinner for that third spot.
Krista.
David Rudiman has been complaining that he's tight behind other trucks, very tight in traffic. They made a wedge adjustment on that last stop. Crew chief saying, David, don't wear your tires out. Keep the thing conservative. They're a little loose right now, but they've been very good on entry in the corners.
David Rudiman talking about tight running behind other trucks, so he goes to the low side. Skinner goes to the high side.
Be interesting to see if he can complete this pass.
Chad Chapman having some problems. You see some debris coming off the 02 truck.
Look at the nose there. He's been off the road or something, Rick. He's got the left front nose torn off that truck.
Looks like maybe he ran off the racetrack and either hit the apron or the grass, buckled the left front corner of that truck underneath it.
And that'll just kill the handling of that truck right there, Phil. You can't race when you don't have all your parts in the front.
Let's see if we can catch the tail end of what happened here. You see him, he's already in the grass, and you see him going over the legend car course there. That's what did the damage to the left front corner of that truck.
Grass flying out the back. Ray.
Hey guys, let me tell you how sideways Chad Chaffin was there. I looked up to look over that direction, and I was looking directly at him from pit road. I mean, that truck was 90 degrees sideways when he saved it and then got it in the grass. Great job of driving from Chad.
As you mentioned, the damage done to the front of that 02 Chevrolet, though, that Chad Chaffin has stepped into for Kelly Sutton. Out in front, no problems for Mark Martin. And that's Scott's number 6 Ford. Behind him, Todd Bodine giving chase. We've seen this 2 times before already this season. Mark Martin finishing first, Bodine second. The John Deere 200 presented on speed by Valvoline continues at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We've completed 51 laps on lap 52. That's Todd Bodine on the outside. Mark Martin still leading this race. Scott Legacy Jr. back out onto the racetrack after bringing out our first caution of the night, and he was running up close to the wall just as he is now.
Battle for the lead.
Bodine going to the high side.
Todd has started to make that outside work.
Ready for him to go high when he gets here. He'll be with you all for 2 now.
That's Bobby Hudson's spotter for Mark Martin. Look at Todd go to the outside.
Bodine has learned something. As Mark Martin is trying to learn in the Truck Series, Bodine has learned the way to get around Mark Martin. Bodine takes over the top spot.
We saw this happen in California a few weeks ago in our last race, and then Mark drove right back by Todd and won that race. To see if he follows Todd for a while or what happens here.
Mark's never been a guy to go up top much. He likes to get his stuff working down on the bottom, and his stuff was working well down on the bottom when the race started, and Todd was kind of running the bottom too. Now he's moved up, and they're even.
2 distinct lines. Mark Martin running right along the bottom of the racetrack. Todd Bodine running right along the wall.
Good. He knows what we're doing here, I think.
That was Mark Martin commenting that I believe Todd Bodine has gotten caught in wind of the fact that he's just chilling right now.
I believe taking care of his equipment was what Mike Beam was saying.
Johnny Benson and David Rudiman running in the 4th and 5th position have been closing on this battle for the lead. Anytime you run side by side, Phil, the guys behind you will gain on you because you're simply battling for track position, and it's allowing a couple other trucks, a couple other Toyotas actually, to come up here and be a part of this battle.
Got a good forward battle with Mark Martin, the Scott's Ford number 6, and the 30 Lumber Liquidators Toyota Todd Bodine. Putting on a great show. This is the kind of show we're used to seeing in Atlanta.
180 plus miles an hour. Mark Martin tries to take away the top spot from Todd Bodine. He's not going to give it up just as yet. he stays on the high side.
You know, I was talking to Mark in the garage area this morning, and he said it's so much fun racing with these guys like Todd, like Skinner and Ted, and all these people, Bobby Hamilton. They're good old school racers. They race you hard, but they give you room. They're considered. He loves being here, Michael.
How many racetracks on the schedule, Phil, can you run side by side for the lead comfortably? These cats have picked them out of line. They both like where their truck is. They're side by side. They can't decide who's going to lead the race, and they're having fun. At most racetracks, when you're side by side, your hair's falling out, standing up on the back of your neck because it's just that intense. Here, there's plenty of room to race, and it's so much fun right now.
Everybody up here is wrapped up like Eskimos, baby. Just be careful.
Talking about the chill in the air. A little bit cooler. We see the battle for the top spot on the right side. Bobby East on the left side of our screen. Seems like he's going the wrong direction. Krista.
Yeah, guys, he is going up in the wrong direction. They were worried that they might have a crack in the header. Right now, the truck is very loose. It was tight earlier in the night. You know, these guys have had such bad luck. When Stacy Conklin was driving the truck, they had a great truck, but trash was their nemesis.
Oh, crash.
They had to stop for tearaway, so we have a crash on the track. Back up to the booth.
Problems in turn number 4. That's Joey Miller, the number 12, getting spun around into the wall.
Caught a glimpse of Mike Skinner, the 5 truck right by. A lot of damage on the 5 truck of Mike Skinner. You see that right there. There's Mike Skinner, the 5 Toyota.
Oh, he's on fire. He needs to get in the grass. Take the thing to the left, Mike.
Undoubtedly, he saw the problem with the 12 of Joey Miller, and probably somebody in front of him slowed down, and he was not able to slow down and ran into the back of them.
Wow, he ran into them hard.
See the oil on the front fender of that truck. He probably busted the oil cooler more than likely.
I caught a glimpse of Joey. He got sideways down on the bottom, Phil, and chased the thing up the hill and wound up in the wall.
Safety crews immediately to him.
Mike's damage, I'm sure, came from the aftermath. Somebody backed off sooner than Mike did, and he did some considerable damage to that Toyota.
Mike Skinner was battling for the top spot. We're up in the top 5. He was one of the Toyotas running extremely strong tonight.
You can see the damage here on the 04 truck, Phil.
Yeah.
On that left rear corner where Mike ran into him.
Scott Legacy Jr., his Dodge Hemi, having the work done to that truck.
He's had a rough night.
Had a very rough night.
Glad he's got a Hemi in there.
We saw him. It looked like he cut a tire down earlier. Caused our first caution flag with contact to the outside wall, and caught up in a little bit of the aftermath of Joey Miller's spin and contact with the wall.
Must be frustration for Mike Skinner starting on the outside pole.
You can see Miller sideways. Watch him overcorrect it, Phil. Thing hooks back on him, gets it hard into the outside wall. Here comes Mike. He sees the 04 slowing down, but he just can't avoid him.
Yeah, you could see the smoke, tire smoke from the 04. He was slowing down so fast, he'd locked the brakes up, so Mike Skinner was coming up on him such a high rate of speed, he was not able to avoid him. Good to see Mike Skinner out at pretty hard contact.
Mike Skinner out of this one. Had high hopes to get into victory lane at Atlanta. It's not going to happen tonight.
Seen him close before.
A lot of damage done to the 5 Toyota Tundra. Skinner looking it over as his evening is done. Still out in front, it's Mark Martin. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway under caution for the John Deere 200 presented on speed by Valvoline. The pits are now open. They have cleared out the number 5 of Mike Skinner from the end of pit road, and so we expect to see most of the trucks make their way down pit road, and Mark Martin will lead the field. Krista.
Mark Martin leading the field, as you said, down here on pit road. No changes for these guys. The truck is great. 4 tires and fuel. That's all that'll be happening for the 6. The 17, David Rudeman, also in for 4 tires. Ray.
Hey, Christoph, Johnny Benson will bring his Exide Batteries Toyota down here. No adjustments for him either. He's pretty happy. Now realize, guys, they are short of their fuel window. They will not be able to run to the end because of, we've got too many laps to go here, but they want to make sure they get 4 tires on it and plenty of fuel. No adjustments for Benson. For Todd Bodine, they're going to add 1 pound to the left rear. Now, this will give him just a little bit more grip because our left side tires this year just have a little bit softer compound. Up 1 pound on the left rear. Todd Bodine will not be first off pit road. A little bit of a hang up on the left front here. A couple of trucks get by him. Bodine's going to come in, and he's going to go out about 7.
Tough pit stop for Todd Bodine in that Lumber Liquidators number 30 Toyota.
So good the first time around. He got the lead.
When this second caution came out, Chad Chaffin became the Aaron's Lucky Dog recipient.
He slid through the grass and messed up his nose there, so he's going to get a chance to fix his nose and catches a break and gets the Aaron's Lucky Dog.
Highest scored truck 1 lap down, and he gets his lap back. The race off pit road was won by Mark Martin, so he will be out front. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is presented by Valvoline. Tested on the track, trusted on the road. By Aqua Velva. Keeps your face toned and fit. There's something about an Aqua Velva man. And by the KFC Buffalo Snacker. Heat things up. The new Buffalo Snacker from KFC. Second caution coming out.
Mark Martin won that race off pit road. David Ruderman with a great stop comes out in second. Johnny Benson third. Ted Musgrave up to the 4th position.
They picked up spots on Ruderman's team on that first pit stop. Went from 5th to 4th and now from 3rd to 2nd.
Craftsman always on the cutting edge of technology when it comes to tools. Today, we want to spotlight another important piece of equipment that Craftsman makes available to all of us in the Craftsman Tool Check.
You know, every race team hopes that they're able to load the truck up at the end of the night without a scratch on it. But guess what? Sometimes accidents happen, and when they do, the teams reach for this Craftsman's 11.5 amp reciprocating saw. Now, this thing really gets the job done when it comes to cutting away body parts and that type of thing. But here's what I really like. All reciprocating saws were always just one directional, but not now because Craftsman's fixed that problem. Check this out. You can pull the handle, turn it sideways, and now you're cutting this way. If you want to turn it and bring it back towards you, push this button, and now you've got a right angle saw. That's pretty cool. And this part turns too, so you've got every single direction you could possibly use when you want to go cutting on your race car. Now, not only at the racetrack do I use this one, this is great for home remodeling.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we've all had reciprocating saws, but I've never had one that does that.
Quite a few angles.
I've needed one that does that.
I've cut a few body parts away.
That full moon high above the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Light still on the pace truck as they make their way around this 1.5 mile extremely fast high bank racetrack.
We're going to get the 1 to go signal right here. We're exactly halfway right now, or just past halfway. There's a 30 crew. They lost a few spots on pit road. They came out 7th. Mike Hillman Jr., and they're not that happy about it, but all it takes is one lug nut to fall off. These lug nuts are glued on these wheels, and when they throw the wheel up on the hub, if one lug nut falls off, either the tire carrier or their tire changer has to grab that lug nut, put it back on, and you can lose 2-3 seconds, and that's enough to go from 1st to 7th.
You know, this is almost controversy right here. Mark Martin, who's really dominated this race up to this point, look where he stops on his pit stop.
It appears as though that right rear tire is on that back line. You're not allowed to be on that back line back there. You can have the right rear tire across that line, but you're not supposed to have that right rear tire behind that line right there. Now, I don't know that that's irrefutable proof that that tire is on the line, because it could actually be an inch or two in front of that line. As long as the tire patch is in front of that line, you're okay. So yeah, you could see the official, he was at the front of the truck. He's actually off to the very right front of the truck, so he did not really see that at the back of the truck.
And from that angle, there's no way to tell if that tire was on that line. It appeared to be from that angle, but I think that Mark was just ahead of the line.
And Mark is just ahead of the field as he brings the field to the green flag for our third restart.
Now he's got another cat to deal with. Dave Ruderman is now up on his back bumper.
We're getting a report from NASCAR that the right rear tire, they do not govern the right rear tire. So apparently, even if that tire was on the line, according to NASCAR, that was okay. We know that the right rear tire can be outside the box on the outside of the line. Apparently, it can also be on the line or whatever at the back of the truck. You just can't be across the front line or have the right front tire outside the outside line of the box.
Wayne Otten's officiating crew doing an exceptional job. They were on top of it. So no penalty, no foul being done by Mark Martin as he continues to lead in Atlanta.
Another note about his officiating crew and the job these officials do and Wayne Otten does with these trucks. That's why you see this competition. We had 27 trucks within less than a half a second of one another. And that's because the inspectors and the NASCAR officials govern these trucks so closely, and they know what these guys have, and they don't let them have any tricks. And so that's why you see, look, there's a whole field in one camera shot.
Yep. You know, we often complain about officials as competitors, but all we ever want really is a level playing field. We all try to get away with things. All these crew chiefs try to get away with a little 1/8 of an inch here and a 1/16 of an inch there, and these NASCAR officials catch them. And you complain about it, that they make them work on these trucks. All the stuff you tried to ease by and get away with, they don't let you. We complain about it, but they give you a level playing field, and that's why the racing is like it is in the Truck Series.
Speaking of easing by, Johnny Benson looks to take the second spot away from David Ruderman, side by side for the number 2 spot.
You got 3 Cup regulars there. Well, here comes the 4th one. 4 Cup regulars in the top 5, and there's old David Ruderman, truck driver extraordinaire, trying to battle these guys off. Currently running in the 2nd spot, gets ahead of Johnny, but look at the heat that's on his back bumper. Todd, Musgrave, Johnny Benson. Here comes Bliss.
Remember, the 9 of Ted Musgrave had to take a past champions provisional, started last in this field, already worked his way well into the top 10.
That yellow truck there, the Building Liquidators, Lumber Liquidators Toyota, was the fastest truck on the track the last time by. So I think Todd's improved that truck, and he might have something for Mark before tonight's over.
Remember, he restarted this race 7th. Now he's battling Johnny Benson for the 3rd position. Just a couple laps, he's moved his way from 7th up to 3rd.
Great battles continue in the top 10. Let's do a Craftsman Truck Series drop back, beginning with Chris Devoto.
Well, Mark Martin knows he has a good truck. He also knows Todd Bodine will be there at the end. They're already planning for that, but right now things definitely going Mark Martin's way. No trouble from the truck at all. The 17, meanwhile, of David Ruderman, things have been going very well for that truck, but under caution, David said that he had a bad vibration in 2nd gear. He's not too worried about it right now, but of course that's playing in the back of his head. They said that other than that, the truck has been very good. Ray.
Hey, Krista, Johnny Benson's been very happy with his number 23 truck. He says that this is a really good one, but look at this. Todd Bodine makes his way around him. Bodine had that long pit stop, but they knew it wasn't going to take long for him to move up there. So the 30 now back up into the top 3 positions, working his way to the front. Again, back to the 23 of Johnny Benson. Remember, he won a Busch Grand National race here back in 1995, so Atlanta certainly one of his favorite tracks. Krista?
Well, Ted Musgrave started this race last, 36. Things going very well for him right now because he's running in the top 5. They started the race very loose, but remember they were on those sticker tires. They knew they would be loose. He's dropped back to 6. John Wood just passed him, but still a good night for Musgrave so far. Terry Cook, meanwhile, in the 10. Things going okay for him. But Ray, right now, let's talk about John Wood. He just made that pass on Ted Musgrave.
Yeah, John Wood is running great, Krista, and these guys were very confident about the truck they brought here. It's chassis number 2, and John Wood was 26th in points, or at least the number 21 was, and he was driving the number 20, so they decided to put Wood in this 21 to try to help move the points up a little bit as we head towards the 5th race of the season whenever we take over 2006 points. Number 10 is Terry Cook, and Krista with more on him.
Okay, that's right now for Terry Cook. These trucks are just making all sorts of passes. The more we talk, the more they move around. But yeah, Terry Cook was complaining about his tires a little bit. Said that the rears were starting to go on the loose side. The fronts have been that way for a while. They made adjustments on their last stop, trying to keep this truck in the top 10. Ray.
Mike Bliss in the number 16 has made a couple of adjustments adjustments. He has been loose, and they just keep on trying. They went up a pound on the left side. He said it's still a little bit loose off. But remember, Bliss ran here a year ago and crashed on lap 1. So far, big improvements. Now for the number 99 of Eric Darnell, he finished 4th. Or excuse me, this is his 4th race, and he finished 6th at Daytona. So Eric Darnell hoping to work his way back up towards the top 5. Krista?
Well, on that last stop for Dennis Setzer, the tires were not showing any looseness. That was a good sign, but the fender was pushed in, the right front fender. The team had to pull it out. Dennis Setzer running very well right now. He started this race 4th. His best Atlanta start was 6th. Dennis Setzer, his best Atlanta finish, 4th.
Look at this gaggle of trucks. Rick Crawford on the inside, Chad McCumbee in the 06 on the outside of him. That's Bobby Hamilton in that Fastenal number 18 Dodge.
They just can't sort all this mess out, can they, Phil?
Sure can't. Chad McCumbee, the 06. He's being shown a lap down right now, but he's racing with some very, very good trucks. There's Rick Crawford. He's in the 17th position. There's David Starr. We haven't seen much of David Starr. He's in the inside of the racetrack on the number 11 Toyota.
Those guys are battling just inside the top 20. And Sprague, Jack Sprague, you see there in the center of the screen, that 60 truck, he hasn't been able to make a move tonight. I thought he would be tough. A lot of guys down in the garage area felt like he, Mark Martin, and possibly Terry Cook were 3 of the best trucks they saw in practice. Cook's made it to the top 10. Jack hasn't gone anywhere yet.
He really hasn't. Jack himself thought that he had one of the best trucks and maybe thought his Conway Toyota could have something to race with Mark Martin. Hasn't showed it yet. We're 79 laps into this race, 130 laps make up the distance. It's time to go.
Only 50 laps remaining in this race. Mark Martin putting some distance between himself and Todd Bodine. It's Martin, Bodine, Johnny Benson, David Rudiman, and John Wood. They are your top 5. The Cat in the Hat watches on. Focus. Hey, Keith. NASCAR trackside on speed. Coming up tonight following the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race.
You will definitely hear some
Jamie
opinions
McMurray
on that show.
Oh, yeah. You'll hear from Jamie McMurray and Clint Boyer. They'll be on as well.
They may not have as big of opinions as the other fellows you see circling that table there.
Check out this battle for the lead. Johnny Benson has upped his ante a little bit, driven up on the back of Todd Bodine, and both those guys are closing on Mark.
We saw Mark Martin lose the lead to Todd Bodine before the last round of pit stops. Todd had a little bit of trouble on pit road, came in as the leader, came out 7th, quickly worked his way up into the top 3, got by Johnny for the second position. Now he's set his sights on Mark.
Now, as Ray had mentioned earlier, these trucks can't make it to the end of this race. They will have to stop one more time. So not only is there a great battle taking place on the track, but there's going to be a battle on pit road again for position.
Oh,
here goes Todd Bodine. He's going to make the pass on Mark Martin.
And watch to the right of the screen. Here comes Johnny. He's right there on him.
Ray, what's going on with Todd?
Well, funny you guys said that he just made that pass, because Todd had just come on the radio and said, yeah, that adjustment you made to tighten me up helped a little bit, but I'm going to need more. And his crew chief, Mike Hillman Jr., said, no problem. We'll get it done for you on the next stop.
Whoa, a little wiggle there. He does need to be tightened up.
When you're loose, you don't want to be pinned down on the bottom, Phil.
Be extra careful there, Mark. 1.5 back when you do that. You don't suck him around, baby.
Don't suck them around, baby. We've talked about that before. These trucks make a tremendous hole in the air. They blow each other around. You can really lose a truck in a hurry when a guy drives up on the outside of you. We've seen it before, and that's what his spotter, Mark Spotter, was reminding him right there. Don't get too close to him. He might suck him around and wreck you both.
And we've seen trucks get a little bit squirrely, one of those being the 77 of Brendan Gaughan. This happened just moments ago.
See Brendan on the bottom of the racetrack. Now he slides up to the middle. That's the 20 of Bobby East. Here comes Rick Crawford. There's the 75 Eric Almirola.
Wow, I'm glad Eric found him a hole down there. He was coming.
Looked like Brendan already had his trouble there. That's why all these trucks are passing him, going by him. He lost his momentum there. See if we can take another look to see what caused that. Oh, there he is, a little bit sideways. That's why he lost his momentum.
Yeah, Hornaday was saying, what is that all about?
That's what gave Eric Almirola that run. Rick Crawford, the 14 truck, saw that. He checked up a little bit. Krista, what's going on down there?
Exactly. He did lose his momentum there because of getting loose. That's exactly what I was just going to say. But, guys, a lot of trouble for Brendan Gaughan and this team earlier in the race. On their first stop, they came in 13th. They went out 28th because the jack handle broke. So they were just happy to get back out on the track. Remember, he's coming off a race. We had some terrible luck, a hole in the oil pan last week in California. Days like this, he said he hates racing, but he loves it when his truck's running well. Right now, they're fighting a very loose truck.
And it's been a while since Brendan Gaughan probably has enjoyed racing. So since 2003 when he was so dominant in this truck series. And speaking of dominant, Mark Martin continues to dominate, but Todd Bodine had been out in front of Mark Martin for at least a while.
Look at that thing get loose, Phil, and he overcorrected it, and then here comes Mark and just pulls the back of that truck around. We saw it.
We saw that happen to Mark Martin in practice at Daytona. He was riding along there. Terry Cook pulled to the outside. It sucked the back end of his truck around. He made some adjustments and went on to win that race. He used that practice session to learn what he needed, to position what positions not to be in, and how to fix it when he was in those positions. Todd Bodine just now, that was in a wrong position.
Mark Martin out in front, Todd Bodine second, but keep your eye on the number 23 of Johnny Benson. Oh, and we've got problems. The one of Robert Richardson gets spun around.
Oh, no, don't come up the hill. There you go.
Now he stops before he gets back on the racetrack. And so our third caution of the night comes out.
Now they're definitely going to pit now, Phil.
And they'll be able to make it.
Yeah, but what if the caution comes out with 10 to go?
Remember last fall here, Kyle Busch put new tires on inside of 10 laps to go. Passed, what, 8 or 9 trucks in the last 8 laps. Won this race coming off turn 4.
I can't imagine that experience would make you guys that much smarter if that does happen this year.
Well, we're going to check with Richie Waters and see what he thinks. But we think that if there's a caution with 10 to go, most of the leaders will pit because tires are so important. And this caution here sets up that situation. You know, they're pitting with 30-some laps to go. And so if there's a caution later on, they'll definitely pit again.
And this racetrack is so wide, too. If you got new tires, there's a place for you to go. If we take a look at what happened to Robert Richardson, you see him, he was right on the bottom of the racetrack, just lost the back end.
Catches that inside wall there, right?
Just a little bit of contact, but then held it, kept it from going back out on the racetrack.
Right along with Erin Crocker and her Betty Crocker Cheerios Dodge to the inside. Robert Richardson.
You're clear.
Robert just got loose, it looked like, and that will enable Chad Chaffin to catch the Aaron's lucky dog another time. So, look, there it is. Isn't that a beautiful thing, getting the old lucky dog from Aaron's?
Twice in one race.
How lucky is that?
That's pretty lucky.
We're lucky ducky dog today, baby.
There you go, baby. I think he should go to Aaron's and lease something.
Again, Kelly Sutton stepping out of that truck. Chad Chaffin getting into it. Chris Devoto.
Mark Martin in again, the crew over the wall. Mark Martin not looking for much adjustments. They are making a little bit of a chassis adjustment this time. It's really the first adjustment they've made. They've really been going for tires and fuel. A little bit down on the track bar. They're coming around on the other side, putting the tires on. And also David Rudiman in on this end of pit road. He's been complaining about a little bit too tight, so they're going to make an adjustment as well. Ray.
Krista, Johnny Benson said that he wants to put a pound in the right front. That'll tighten him up just a little bit. He said the truck was coming to him as they ran the run here. Now on the number 30 for Todd Bodine, they said this is the redemption pit stop. This is where we get it back, guys. They came in second. They are not going to beat Mark Martin off pit road. Actually, again, they have a hang up on the left rear and they're going to lose spots. Come in second. They're going to go out ninth.
Well, we know he has a good enough truck to overcome it because he drove back to the lead and then got a little bit loose. You see, there's Mike Hillman Jr. He's going to talk to his pit crew. He's not happy again.
This is the reason why we're under our third caution of the night. Robert Richardson getting spun around, pointing toward the inside wall. He's able to hold it off of the outside wall.
Craftsman Motorsports has been involved with the Urban Youth Racing School based out of Philadelphia for the past 4 years. And this is our 4th year with the internship program where we take 4 students to Charlotte and pair them up with our NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series teams. And throughout the week, they work with the teams and actually go to the dyno and test the motors, and they go and they paint the trucks. And then they come to Atlanta, and this is actually an experience where they get to work with the teams on site in the pits throughout the race weekend. It's been a great experience for these guys, and we love getting these kids involved in the sport.
Great program. There's Shauna. She works with the Urban Youth Racing Program.
Working in Darrell's pit there. That pit crew's done an excellent job tonight. They
gained another spot.
Maintained again.
I don't know. Hey, you're on TV. You better wave. Take a look at our pit summary as we go back to green. Mark Martin bringing him back to the green flag. David Rudeman right behind him.
There's John Wood in the third position. What a great run John Wood has had. We saw him make a second pit stop 2 cautions ago. Had to go all the way back to the back of the pack, and now he's worked his way up to third. Looks to the outside of the 17 of Rudeman.
Doesn't quite get there.
Now he's going to look to the inside.
Pulls the crossover move.
He'll take the position away. John Wood on the bottom of the track. David Rudeman trying to hold him off on the high side. Side by side for second.
Great battle for second. John Wood trying to get by David Rudeman. David trying to hold him back. You got Johnny Benson, the Exide Toyota, right behind this group.
Rudeman should use that high side to his advantage here and be able to put Wood back to third spot.
John's racing him hard on the inside. You see Todd Bodine lurking. The number 30 looks to the outside of JB in the 23.
And remember, he restarted 9th, and he's getting ready to join the battle for second.
Very strong truck again for Todd Bodine.
There goes Rudeman. Use that momentum on the high side.
Going to get a little help from Todd Bodine on the outside. See if he can push him by.
Wow. John Wood is strong down on the bottom of the racetrack, Phil. He completes the pass. Oh, Rudeman had to squeeze out of the gas to let John in.
He really didn't complete it, but David Rudeman allowed him to complete it.
Well, that's self-preservation. He wanted to run into John Wood and say, don't do that, but he couldn't mess up his truck. He's got a chance to win this race.
John needs to thank him, though, after the race, because David could have really put a hurting on him.
Look at this gaggle, Phil.
Got a big-time gaggle. There's Steve parked at 59. Right in front of him, Bobby Hamilton. Steve looks to the inside of the Fastenal Dodge at Bobby Hamilton.
Bobby's driven that thing up to the 12th spot, Phil.
Yeah, Bobby knows what to do. He looks to the outside of Aaron Crocker, the lap truck number 98.
There goes Bobby on the high side. Krista.
Bobby Hamilton said, I am pretty good right now. Quote, they dropped the track bar a little bit, just looking for a little bit more on the track. But he says, guys, I'm feeling really good with this truck. Remember, he started last, but he certainly knows how to make his way through traffic anywhere, especially here in Atlanta.
He's gotten himself ahead of that big old pack of trucks, Phil. So if he does have anything, if that truck's got something for these front runners, he's going to find out now, because he doesn't have to mess with all that traffic. He's cleared it. Now he can see if he can drive to the front.
Todd Bodine was able to get by the 23 of Johnny Benson. Now we've got David Rudeman just in front of Ted Musgrave.
Let's see if we can take a look back when John Wood tried to make this pass. Look, he doesn't quite have him cleared. He moves up the racetrack, probably lost the front end. Look at David Rudeman's up just about underneath that truck, backs off the throttle. Todd was right there, got a battle for the lead.
John Wood, we saw how strong he was on the bottom of David Rudeman. See if Mark just lays over, if Mark tries to pin him down and hold the lead. Looks like Mark's going to race him here.
We saw John Wood, he was able to stay on the inside of David Rudeman and make good time, finally make the pass, barely. But now he's on the inside of Mark Martin. Let's see if Mark gives him some room or if he tries to keep him pinned down.
Shows you he's trying to help with
Michael, you mentioned earlier, Mark Martin doesn't like to run away from the white line, and now he's in a little bit of uncharted territory as he has to run on the high side with John Wood on the inside.
That doesn't mean he can't do it. He may not like to do it, but that doesn't mean he can't do it.
Well, and John Wood backs off. It looks as though he backs off and now loses second spot to Todd Bodine.
Well, and you have to understand how much Mark likes this truck. He can take it anywhere he wants. So when it came necessary for him to run around the top and hold John off, that's what he did.
He just drove down in the corner, cleared John Wood, and he drove by so far it brought Todd Bodine the 30 truck with him.
Well, we've talked a lot about these first 2 trucks, Mark Martin and Todd Bodine, and the reason being they're the only 2 trucks that have led this race so far. Mark Martin and Todd Bodine but they've changed the lead back and forth 11 times so far in this race.
And depending on where you're counting at, John Wood led it almost. I mean,
that's at the start-finish line 11 times.
He was leading it somewhere, John was.
Yep.
And here comes, could we see the 12th lead change in a lap or two here? Looks like so.
It's Todd Bodine's turn to take the point.
Got to negotiate the 0-4 truck of Scott Lagasse. He's going to stay up high. Mark Waite makes his way by underneath him. You heard Todd how very little he was out of the throttle here. Here we are 105 laps into this race. Very little time out of the throttle. Ray, how's Todd doing down there?
Well, Phil, just wanted to add a little bit. They pitted there on lap 91. Of course, they lost some positions on pit road again. They took a look at the right front tire, and Mike Hillman Jr. told him there is some wear on the right front, so you need to go easy for a little bit. Todd says, I'll go easy whenever I get the lead. Krista?
You know, Ray, a lot of these guys, they see the 6 truck of Mark Martin in the field, and they're like, oh, man, not again. Not Todd Bodine. He says he loves it when Mark Martin is in the race because he said if you can beat Mark Martin, you know you've beaten the best.
Well, he hasn't done it yet this year. He's had a good view of Mark a couple times, and he hasn't quite beat. Look at Mark is driving that thing. You see him
heck yeah.
wiggling and snatching that steering wheel down to the bottom of the racetrack?
That's what's fun about driving these trucks. You can get them sideways, and they have such a big flat side on them. They catch a lot of air, and it kind of straightens them back up. So you really can hustle these trucks, and that's a couple of cats right there leading this race that are hustling them.
Coming up on 22 laps of racing to go at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And if it's anything like the past 3 races, they'll be side by side coming out of 4 for the checkers.
Look.
John Deere 200 presented on speed by Valvoline continues, and the battle for the top spot continues. Mark Martin just in front of Todd Bodine. They've run this whole race with this much distance between them. Tomorrow morning, NASCAR Nextel Cup practice, bonus coverage on Speed Channel, 9 a.m. Get up, have breakfast with Speed. You can watch how Mark Martin prepares for the Cup race. Or actually, Michael, we'll watch you as well.
Well, thank you.
We'll be tuned in.
9 o'clock, running 190 mile an hour gets your attention. I'd rather it be about 10:30 or 11, but they didn't ask me.
There's a battle for 15th. There's Bobby Hamilton, the Fastenal Dodge on the outside. There's Ron Hornaday, the 33 Chevrolet, Kevin Harvick's Chevrolet. Good run for Kyle Krisloff right there in the Ditech.com. Billy Ballew's number 15. He's kept his nose clean. Did a great job tonight.
Well, when we saw him qualify, Phil, he was bottoming off the racetrack. That thing was all over the place, but yet he was able to run a fast speed. I felt like then, if when the race started, that truck would be really good because it was hitting the ground so hard qualifying, but yet he was still able to run a good time. You can see him looking on the inside there.
That is 3 wide at Atlanta.
It's a strong move right there. I know Billy Ballew, Richie Waters think a lot of this kid. Probably the youngest driver in the field.
Kyle Krisloff is the youngest driver at 20 years of age.
Doing a good job. For him just to be here, run with the kind of trucks he's running with right now, and run all night, he's learning a lot. He's doing what he's supposed to.
A couple of champions there he's racing with, and he's 20 years old, so that one champion kind of wanted to get that other one out of his way there. Did you notice that? Bobby ran right up on the back of Ron and said, come on now, you got to get going if you can get my groove.
There's the distance between 1 and 2. Yep. Mark Martin, Todd Bodine, they've led all the laps so far at Atlanta. The lead's been exchanged 11 times between those 2 trucks, and now Mark Martin puts the most distance he's had between himself and second all night. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is presented by Valvoline. Tested on the track, trusted on the road. Brought to you in part by Ford F-150, built Ford tough. And by Scotts. For a thick green lawn, guaranteed Scotts. Mark Martin, Todd Bodine had been either side by side or nose to tail most of this race. Mark Martin has now put a second and a half between himself and Todd Bodine.
But Todd hadn't given up.
He's trying to drive the wheels off that truck.
He is wheeling that baby. He's hating seeing Mark driving off from him.
You know, Todd Bodine is one of the drivers that has won 3 races in a row in the history of the Craftsman Truck Series. Mark Martin's trying to join that group right now and win his 3rd race in a row.
Look at this traffic Mark's in, though. This is eating into his lead. This will give Todd a chance to rally back here.
You see, this is the group that has won 3 in a row. Mike Skinner back in 96, Ron Hornaday 97, Greg Biffle in 2000, and Todd Bodine last year, 2005. Mark Martin trying to join that group, 2006.
Todd Bodine would normally be right behind. Oh, and here he comes on the high side. But here is what took him back a ways behind Mark Martin.
Remember, I told you he was driving the wheels off that thing. He about drove the side off of it. But now he's right on the bumper of Mark Martin as they work through traffic.
Here they go. Todd Bodine on the high side. Mark Martin caught up behind Boston Reed. They're side by side for the lead.
Todd's going to go through the middle.
4 wide off turn.
Oh, and that's going to get Boston Reed.
Oh, sideways.
Baby, you go okay.
Todd Bodine stays straight, as does Mark Martin, with 5 laps to go.
How about that pass now?
They were 4 wide. And Mark Martin had to check up because Todd Bodine was able to get by him. Problems coming out of turn number 4, the smoke rolling. That is the 4 of Timothy Peters getting spun around. Fire coming out of the cowl of that truck.
That's going to set up, more than likely, a green-white checkered, with Todd Bodine out front and Mark Martin right behind him.
Wow. Well, this is the second green-white checkered that Mark Martin will have to go through. And the first one, he said, oh, well, I've got to learn, how to do these green-white checkers. Well, the first time he was up front. Now he'll start second.
You can see he blew a left rear tire there, Phil. That thing just snapped around on him when that tire blew out. Look at all the damage the tire did to the left rear quarter panel of Timothy Peters' truck.
Let's see if we can, let's watch this pass for the lead here.
This is huge.
Todd Bodine says, I got a hole in the middle, I'm going for it.
But the air off the 25 truck shot Todd up into the 4 truck.
Look how sideways he is right there.
And I bet you his foot never came off the floor. That's huge.
One of the things, we saw Todd Bodine get a little bit loose, but Mark Martin got loose, had to chase his truck up, and he made contact with the 25.
Watch this again, this other angle here. See the 25. He doesn't know which way to go here. He moves up. He gets clipped by the 30, and then he makes contact with Mark on the inside.
They all 4 hit something, and nobody crashed. All 4 of them ran into something off the turn, and no one crashed. Look at this. This is great video. Great job by our cameramen. Look at that.
Todd makes some pretty hard contact right there.
He is sideways. And again, don't forget, they're going 180 miles an hour.
That's probably what cut Timothy Peters' left rear tire down. The contact that Todd made with him. And here you see Timothy Peters. I think he cut down that left rear tire, and that turned Timothy Peters around. Turn 4, because that was the very next time through turn 4.
Golly, how many degrees sideways? Let's check out Todd. Let's freeze it. When he gets that thing in this bind, he gets it in. You can see the 25 comes up.
Now right here, look at Mark Martin get sideways right there.
He got sideways even before because he was on the inside. He lost the air off his spoiler. Then the 25 and the 30 make contact. It pushes Todd up the hill into Timothy Peters.
Freeze it. That's a wreck.
look at how sideways
he crashed. If you didn't know better, you'd say, oh, this is going to be huge.
Wow.
And he didn't overcorrect. He never made any more contact with Timothy Peters.
And he's got the lead for a green-white checker.
But he cut down Timothy Peters' left rear tire.
Well, he's not real concerned about that right now.
Unbelievable job of driving by Todd Bodine after he hit the wall earlier to catch up to Mark Martin. Ray.
Hey guys, let me tell you about this truck that Todd Bodine's driving. It's chassis number 51, and here's what he did with it last year in 2005. At Las Vegas, he won. Here at Atlanta, he finished second. At Texas, he won. At Homestead, he won. So do you think Todd Bodine likes this truck? Heck yeah. Now, he was really, really loose in that run, but he said, listen, I'm sick of finishing second to Mark Martin here. We're going to the front, and we're going to stay there.
He's sick of it. He's done it twice. That's how you get when you win 3 or 4 races in a row. How could you get sick of leading the? He's right there, but that's how driven he is. That's how good he thinks he is. That's how good he knows this team is, and how good that Toyota is. He doesn't like getting beat because he thinks he's got the best team, and he thinks he's better than Mark Martin.
Well, as exciting as this race is going to finish up, we've got to take a look at the Aqua Velva out of the blue moment, and this takes place with Mike Skinner.
Well, it was out of the blue for Scott Lagasse, too, because he didn't realize that Skinner didn't see what was going on. See the closing rate right there, Phil? And wham, he runs in the back of Lagasse and blows up his whole front of his truck.
Yeah, Timothy Peters slowed down, or Scott Lagasse Jr. slowed down because he saw Joey Miller. Look at the big fire underneath that truck. You see oil all over the front fender, oil on the windshield.
But the Aquavelva out of the blue moment ends up with Mike Skinner walking away.
There's Mike right there taking some of the tape off, probably his gloves.
Kind of got a worse attitude than he did when this race started, but he does walk away.
Mike Skinner was right in the thick of this race, running in the top 6 most of the first half of this race until this incident taking him out of the race.
There's something about an Aquavelva, man.
Take a look at the damage on the right side of this truck. And, oh, by the way, that's our leader.
Well, and if you look back at our second place truck, after his contact off turn 2 over there, it doesn't look much better.
Well, a year ago in the fall, they were 4 wide coming out of turn number 4. Jack Sprague got sideways. Johnny Benson got sideways. Kyle Busch was able to avoid damage and get by and win this race. We could possibly have another fantastic finish at Atlanta Motor Speedway. When we come back, we'll see the final lap. The John Deere 200 presented on Speed by Valvoline. Welcome back to Atlanta. Quick fast track facts. That would be that all 3 finishes here at Atlanta have finished with a margin of victory under 0.6 of a second. One of them being the fastest or the closest ever finish at a super speedway between Ron Hornaday and Bobby Labonte, which was .008 one-thousandth of a second.
8 one-thousandths of a second. I wouldn't be surprised to see another one of those here. Krista.
That pass for the lead, guys, all of us are down here pretty much jaws dropped when we saw it. Every time the replay comes up, our jaws are still on the floor. I'm down here with Mark Martin's crew. They can't believe it. You know, Mike Beam, Mark Martin's crew chief, got on the radio and said, Mark, I just saw that on TV. Most impressive. Mark replied back, I'm driving with everything I've got. Of course, when have you ever known Mark Martin to not drive with everything he's got? Ray?
Krista, one of the things I really love about this series is the great finishes, and we've had a lot of green-white checkers. In 2004, we did it 9 times, and last year we had 8 finishes with green-white checkered. But we've had 3 races so far this year, and this will be our 3rd green-white checkered, the 58th time we've ever done it in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
And this could be the best one ever.
We would expect nothing less while we're at Atlanta.
I'm liking how this is shaping up.
What an impressive pass though by Todd Bodine on Mark Martin. Had to make it 4 wide. They all 4 bounced off each other, and Todd emerged completely sideways off turn number 2 with the lead.
But Phil, he made up 2 seconds in that one lap. Mark was in the middle of that mess of trucks, and he was just picking his way through there. The leader, that's a tough job for him to get through traffic, and he was working his way through there, and from out of nowhere, Todd Bodine drove all up in the middle of them. What you got, Ray?
Hey, Michael, what would you do as a driver here? Todd came on the radio and said, what should I do? I want to run the low line, but you know Mark's going to go to the top. He's been watching the video. He's seen Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards do it. Which way do I go? They said, absolutely, you got to stick it to the bottom.
Well, we saw last week in the Nextel Cup race, Matt Kenseth stuck it to the bottom, and Jimmy Johnson stuck it out front.
Remember what's taken place here in the past. In 04, Bobby Hamilton making the pass on Mike Skinner.
And Bobby Hamilton will win the Easy Care 200. Ron Hornaday goes across the start-finish line just inches in front of Bobby Labonte. Sprague's going to slide out of fourth, and Kyle Busch is going to win this race.
Those are the 3 finishes that have taken place here previously. We're about to see the 4th.
Well, the first one, 04, the pass was done on the outside, Bobby Hamilton. The second one, Ron Hornaday won it from the inside. The third one, they all crashed, except Kyle Busch. So anybody's guess.
Mark Martin has been running very well, very strong on the inside of the track. Todd Bodine trying to figure out the strategy of how to keep Mark Martin behind him. A great start by Mark Martin. He goes to the inside as they go to turn number 1.
What a great start by Mark Martin.
He liked a foot, though, clearing him, Phil. Todd will rally back on the outside.
Both these drivers ran that corner, I guarantee you, wide open. Look at Johnny Benson in the 23.
Johnny's never won one of these races.
Johnny Benson looking for his first ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Mark Martin looking to make it 3 in a row to start off the 2006 season. Todd Bodine wants to get back into victory lane. On the outside, Todd Bodine goes across the start-finish line just a few feet in front of Mark Martin.
They're going to run it wide open again down here on old tires. Let's see if Mark doesn't get loose on the bottom. See if he wiggles.
Down the backstretch. It's Todd Bodine with the lead. Now Johnny Benson making the pass on the inside. He'll take away second from Mark Martin. He sets his sights on the 30, but the 30 has checked out.
He's got to spin behind him.
As they spin, it is going to be Todd Bodine going across the start-finish line, winning in 2006.
Big crash behind him.
You are the man!
Oh, look at this.
They're still crashing, Rick. I mean, even off 4 still.
They were slowing down. Truck stopped on the front stretch.
There's Steve Park, had a good run. He found himself a lap down late in the going.
Brendan Gaughan with problems in that 77.
We'll have to sort all this out.
You are the man.
That was Mike Hillman Sr. talking to his driver.
A second and a first so far for Todd Bodine.
That was I'm telling you, I cannot get over the pass he made for the lead before that last caution flag. And then to fight off Mark Martin, who got such a great restart on a green-white checker, drove up to the inside. They ran side by side for a lap and a half. Todd able to drive out in front of him.
You see, that's why all that planning goes out the window, Rick. He said, I'm going to stick it to the bottom. Well,
Todd was on the bottom.
He took off. He couldn't stick it on the bottom. Mark beat him to the bottom. Is that what won him the race? The fact that Mark got to the bottom first? Maybe if Mark had gone to the outside and pitched Todd down, the result would have been different. You never know.
Brendan Gaughan. I'll tell you what. There's a kid who actually he should be happy because he's got his best finish of 06 so far, finishing 13th in this one.
I'm not sure all those finishes will.
That could all change.
They wrecked back and 4 and the field's frozen, so we'll have to figure out who finished where.
Ray.
Let's talk to crew chief Mike Hillman Jr. I'll tell you what an unbelievable start to the season. A pair of seconds, and tonight the driver did it for you.
Yeah, he did an awesome job. Todd Bodine is the man. I mean, that's, you know, Mark Martin's one of my heroes, but Todd Bodine's the man. Jermaine Racing and these guys are great. They work hard. We went home from California, really worked on our stuff, came back here and had an awesome night.
Congratulations. Go celebrate in victory lane. That's the winning crew chief here at Atlanta.
Todd Bodine climbing back into his Toyota.
That's truck racing right there, Phil. There's your winning truck. Tore all to pieces. And that's the Onion, they call him.
The Onion claims victory number 1 of 2006. Mike Hillman Jr. celebrating as Todd goes across the start-finish line. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Let's go down to victory lane and Ray Dunlap.
Well, here comes Todd Bodine out of his Lumber Liquidators Toyota. This is career win number 8. He was going to go up for the high jive. Yep, he gets up there. Checkered flag in hand. Not just win number 8, but I got to believe maybe the most satisfying win ever of your career. What a job.
Yeah, that was, I can't believe it. You know, I knew on that restart, there was no way that I could let Mark get outside of me. Our truck was so loose when he was out there. When he dove to the inside and start-finish line, I said, have at it. I just kept him pinched down. Mark Martin, being the driver he is, never ran me dirty, never ran up into me, gave me a clean track. We beat him.
I mean, I'm telling you, the excitement in those last 20 laps had to be unbelievable from your viewpoint. We sure were loving it.
Yeah, our truck was just a little too loose on long runs. Same problem we had at California. Mark beat us there, but we got the best of him tonight. This Tundra was great. Pit stops, we had a couple of lug nuts fall off. That's not these guys' fault. These guys are awesome. They showed at the first shop. I'm just proud to be here. Lumber Liquidators, how about it? First time sponsor on the pole in victory lane. Awesome.
You're going down the backstretch and you split Boston Reed. You go to the high side. You get up there a little close to Timothy Peters. Mark goes to the high inside. Did you know what was going on there?
Yeah, I did. As soon as the blue truck, whoever that was, as soon as they started coming up, I knew Mark went 4 wide on us. And I had to pull up. When I pulled up, Timmy got the air off me and I got into him. I hate it. I know that's what caused that wreck, is flat tire. I hate that. But at the time when I did the move, it was 3 wide. Mark made it 4 wide. It's racing that's Craftsman Truck Series at its best.
Pair of seconds and a first. Congratulations. Great start to 2006.
Thanks. Germain Racing, baby. We're here.
The Onion, baby. Back to victory lane. Todd Bodine wins at Atlanta.
In 3 races, it's been Mark Martin and Todd Bodine 1 and 2. This time, Mark Martin comes out on the short end of that stick. But what an exciting race. What are your thoughts?
Congratulations to Todd and those guys. They've been right there knocking, and they were in the front when this one ended, and, they earned it. I just want to thank, this is the best racing, I've done in years. I love this stuff, and these guys, great racers, and I really didn't think our truck was going to be as good as it was. It was really spectacular, and I just want to thank Scotts and Ford and Mike Beam and this whole crew.
Mark Martin's never finished out of the top 10 in a truck race.
Well, Mark Martin, a part of the Valvoline, tested on the track, trusted on the road, brings you the Valvoline protecting the win moment.
Unbelievable here. You see him side by side for the lead. They have 2 lap trucks in front of him. Todd goes to split the middle of them. Mark goes to the inside. Mark gets sideways. Todd gets contact with the 25. He gets sideways, big time sideways. Runs into these 4 trucks, but emerges with a lead.
And that, no one has to apologize for anything right there. That's just hard racing as they're charging to the checker.
That helped him protect the win and the lead. And Todd Bodine comes home with his 8th career victory in just his 43rd start. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. And immediately following our broadcast, trackside from Atlanta, just outside the track. That will be coming up next as the celebration continues for the Germain Racing team. Todd Bodine out in front, but because of the problems that took place at the end of this race, we don't have the unofficial results as of yet because NASCAR is going to be sorting that out for quite some time. Quite a few trucks changed positions, and we're going to show you a few different angles of what took place at the end of this race.
You can see Eric Almirola here. He's down on the inside of John Wood, and he just loses his truck. What a great run he was having, but he spins out, and watch what happens. Jack Sprague on new tires is charging, and he just got hung in the side and right into the wall he goes, and they just keep wrecking, Phil.
Yeah, there's a 08 Bobby Hamilton Jr. There's Ron Hornaday, bottom of your screen, got turned around by Rick Crawford. Here comes the 59 of Steve Park. He makes contact with the 08 of Bobby Jr. Here's another view of it. Watch Jack Sprague just gets clipped in the right rear corner, puts him hard into the outside wall.
What a job by Terry Cook. He dove to the bottom of the racetrack. Now, the reason why we don't have unofficial results is because they have Eric Almirola scored in 7th. He started that crash. He won't finish there. We don't have any idea from about 5th on back who's where.
We do know that Todd Bodine won the race. Mark Martin was 2nd. Johnny Benson 3rd. John Wood in 4th. Watch this, Bobby Hamilton. Watch this veteran move here. They're crashing all around. There went Jack Sprague on the inside.
Listen. He had stuff bouncing off. Sound like he's in a war zone. Things bouncing off his truck. He just kept on driving through it.
As soon as he got by the last truck involved in the wreck, he jumped in the throttle and said, let me get out of here.
For the official results and the points after this race, make sure to go to speedtv.com. They will have all of that information. One thing we do know, Todd Bodine won this race. That is his 10th finish of 1st or 2nd in the last 12 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series races.
Get to some of that competition.
That is amazing.
Todd's poised to make a march to this championship, isn't he, Phil?
Now let's let everyone remember Bobby Hamilton's run a lot of tough races. He's won a lot of tough races, but he's in for one of the toughest races of his life. Let's everyone be praying for Bobby Hamilton.
Bobby Hamilton facing a very tough challenge in front of him as he now battles his fight with cancer. Letting us know that he will no longer drive the number 18. Bobby Hamilton Jr. steps into that truck for the remainder of this season. Todd Bodine winning his first race of the 2006 season, picking up where he left off at the end of 2005. His teammate Ted Musgrave coming home in 5th position. So those two trucks are going to be very tough to battle with. Trackside follows immediately after this, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Again, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. Atlanta brings fantastic finishes. Under a full moon, we could have expected nothing less. As they crossed the start-finish line, it was Todd Bodine winning again.